Yeah, is that what we say? Is that not too much? They've said these things. This is the bullshit you get from these apologists for genocide. We are having an impact in so many ways. I mean, I've brought you some of them from Israel's approval ratings or whatever you call them, being tanking, etc. But even people like AOC, Ocasio-Cortez, are now coming around. She would never say the word genocide. She was always cagey on ethnic cleansing, etc. But she was chased out of a movie theater recently by protesters saying, why won't you call this a genocide?
Over 30,000 people are dead, AOC. You can't just say it for once. Just say the word. That's it. That's all we want you to say.
And I think that played probably no small part in what we now see from her.
If you want to know what an unfolding genocide looks like, open your eyes. It looks like the forced famine of 1.1 million innocents. We must write our story in this moment of what it means and who we are as Americans. And our story must be not that we were good men who did nothing.
Now, clearly, not enough aid is getting in. Clearly, the condition.
One is, yeah, those of you saying too little, too late, you know, it took her 170 days to call this a genocide. Forget her. Totally understand. Fine by me. I'm not asking you to become some kind of member of the AOC fan club. But I do think those of us who are fighting for this to be called what it is, for it to be talked about this way, do need to accept the wins when we get them as activists. So these wins need to be appreciated and talked about and celebrated for a very short time and then back to work. I'm not saying get on the AOC fan club. I am saying appreciate the win that protesters and activists have gotten AOC and a few others to call this what it is, a goddamn genocide. Goon Jake Tapper on CNN tries to get her to backtrack basically and say, like, do you really want to call this a genocide? But on top of that, he gives these like, okay, we can say not enough aid is getting in. Yeah, is that what we say? Or do we say Israel is intentionally starving children to death? Not enough aid is getting in. I mean, the lightest way you could say this shit in the world is what he does. But then on top of that, you'll see he tries to get her to back out of calling it a genocide.
Conditions for the Palestinian people are horrific and much more needs to be done. Genocide.
This is the bullshit you get from these apologists for genocide. Like, imagine if during the Holocaust, you were a news reporter and you were saying, look, we can all say what's going on for certain people in the concentration camps is they're not living their best lives. Not enough food is getting in. We can say the conditions are not ideal, but to call this a genocide or to call this bad, is that not too much? This guy should never be on television again. He is a morally bankrupt piece of shit. And this is like, to call it, oh yeah, its conditions are a little rough. Disgusting. It's repulsive. And that's your mainstream media. That's your corporate run media.
For the Palestinian people are horrific and much more needs to be done. Genocide is a word that has serious and specific connotations and allegations. It's defined by the intent to destroy in whole or in part a national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. So you, just to clarify here, you believe the Israeli military, the Israeli government are actively trying, they intend to destroy the Palestinian people, and not that what's happening is horrible, but it's happening because Israel is going after the terrorists of Hamas who attacked them on October 7th, and Hamas embeds within the civilian population?
You're telling me that Israel, when they bomb hospitals and schools endlessly and starve children to death, you're telling me that wasn't to get Hamas? Do tell. Anyway, she doesn't back down, to her credit, but you know, she maybe uses some lighter terms than I would. But.
Well, Jake, you're absolutely right. This word is extremely serious. It's one that's taken with extraordinary gravity. And to me, the threshold of intent is a high one. It is a serious one and is not one that is made lightly. However, when we look at the precipice.
And I'm going to say something she doesn't say, which you don't have to fight over the threshold of intent because we can see their intent. They've said so publicly.
ואנחנו נוהגים בהתאם.
There are many Israelis who have said, wipe Gaza off the map. You know, they're all cockroaches. They're all animals. Turn it into a parking lot. Not till all, we won't be safe until all Palestinians are gone. They've said these things publicly. Like, it's in the South Africa's case in front of the ICJ. Like, it's, anyway.
Of what is happening with a forced famine of 1.1 million Gazans, where multiple governments, NGOs, and even officials within the United States State Department have stated themselves plainly that the Israeli government and leaders in the Israeli government are intentionally denying, blocking, and slow walking this aid and are precipitating a mass famine. I believe we have crossed the threshold of intent.
He looks baffled. Jake Dad was just like, oh, you're saying people did this on purpose, are you? You got to celebrate these wins, even as it doesn't mean that AOC is doing a wonderful job on all accounts.